Think about it. A handful of Scrabble soldiers, the guys who fought the Continental Army, barely clothed, poorly fed, and nearly unarmed, happily, blessed is the nation whose God is Lord, happily defeated the most powerful military of their day. Happily defeated him. Our country began in debt, fragmented, and alone in the world. Nobody like him anywhere. But in just a few short years, United States of America was considered one of the most powerful nations in the world. And we're not talking about, in my mind, I'm thinking it must have taken time for us to become the powerhouse that our country is. It must have, our country was. And it must have taken time. You start out, you just barely win the war. I mean, they so barely win the war that England tries it again just a few years later. Let's just see if we can whoop them this time. And can't whoop them that time either. And so in my mind, I'm thinking they must have just been some little dinky country over here. They've got no money. They printed false money to pay the soldiers while the war was going on. And then after the war was over, they had to figure out what they're going to do. We're just going to forget that this money's no good, and had to figure out how to pay everybody and do all this kind of stuff. How we're going to pay our bills. And sometimes they even debated whether maybe we'll just forget that we owe anybody any money and that kind of stuff. They debated all that. No, that wasn't the plan. The very first Congress passed a law that we're going to pay our bills before we're out of office. We will be debt-free from the American Revolution before the first Congress ever finishes their term. That was what they determined was going to happen, and they did it. And blessed.